Gemini. This is my first series going by the zodiac signs, so please let me know what you think, or if you think there is a better way that I could be doing this. But also, because Mercury retrograde is in Gemini and it is your ruling planet, I would love to know what you think of the spread, and especially the first two questions, because with this retrograde starting today, being in Gemini and then moving to Taurus, we put the focus for the first couple of questions as how that specifically affects those sort of placements. So this is a 3-card spread. To see how we put it together, you can go over to the Patreon. It is a patrons only series, but if you decide you're interested, there's also bonus content. Well, that is bonus content, but there's also early content. There's a monthly live stream, and lots of other little goodies, including being able to talk more about what kind of content you'd like to see. This, like I said, is a 3-card spread. We are actually doing it as 5 because I am adding in a signifier for each of the signs, as well as a shadow card. We are using the Nicoletta Ceccoli deck for the main reading. If we need to clarify, it will be with the Tarot of the Sweet Twilight. So we are starting with the King of Pentacles as your signifier. Now, the King of Pentacles is a card of someone who is generous, someone who is kind, someone who is very experienced and very able to take leadership. He is one of those kings that will be on the front lines with you. So in that respect, as what this is meaning for you is, and what that's saying about you right now, is that you are in a place where you are sort of taking the reins, stepping into a position of power, of leadership, but not just handing it over. This is something where you will be working alongside people, teaching people, helping people to get to where you are. If this resonates, keep listening, because the rest of the reading is most likely for you. So the first question, and one of the ones that I would like you to let me know about as a Gemini, is how can I collect my ideas and choose my words? Mercury retrograde often has an effect on communication, and with Geminis, from what I know and from the ones that I know and love, communication is very important. Word choice is very important. Finding the right words are very important. So we're looking at how I can collect my ideas and choose my words. That is Judgment. Now, Judgment is not about being judgmental. Judgment is about observation. Looking back on our patterns in life, looking back at our series, essentially, when I do this, this happens. When I do this, this happens. As a way of collecting your ideas and choosing your words, that's perfect. When I say this, this is the response I get. When I say this, this is the response I get. It's a great way to reflect and think about all of the times that you have communicated with the person you are talking to before stepping into the next part of that communication. The next question is, how can I be sure that I'm being heard correctly? Because you can have all the right language, and if somebody else has a different method of communication, they may still not get what you're saying. So these go very much together. That is the Ace of Swords. That is really a card of clarity, but also a card of the aha moments, of epiphanies. It is very much about clarity and ideas. So sometimes having the prettiest words and the most fun, biggest words are not the best way to be understood. Sometimes it's a directness, and it's more about having the most precise, most universal words that will help you make your argument. So that is something to consider when you are doing your, when I say this, this happens. You can also say, how often do people know this word? How often do people know that one? as you move forward. With that, we move into the Taurian question, and that is, how can I be more flexible? So that is the Lover's card. The Lover's card is actually a card of choice and of agreement, coming to an agreement, like contracts. It's about the organizational end of a relationship, not so much the romantic end. It doesn't even have to be a romantic partnership, but this is about making choices to be more flexible. This is about listening to the people around you and having some compromise, right? Because with agreements, we have to settle. We can't automatically say this is the right side, this is always going to be what we need it to be. There is some give and take there, especially if you are trying to work with that person to get change done or to get work done. You have to be able to see the other person's side. So in continuing with the theme a little bit of watching patterns and looking for the least common denominator and all that, there is also that idea of compromise and making an agreement, even with yourself, to try something else. Excuse me. There's major pollen here. So finally, we are going to take the shadow card. I prefer to call it the hidden elements card because it's not about shadow work usually. It's more about bringing things together. It's the thing that covers everything but sort of pulls it all together. And for that, we have the Knight of Swords. Now, the Knight of Swords seeks communication, like readily. He is steady and loyal, having the parts of the Knight where we look at being sturdy and going towards what we think is the right thing to do, but also that Swords element where there's logical, rational thinking, problem solving, communication, that wanting to work things out, work things together. And it's a really great shadow for the rest of these, because as we talk about trying to find our words and trying to figure out the best way to send messages that can be more universal, this is kind of that quest for the truth. A kind of a reminder as to why you want to be careful with your words, why you want to have the right things, because you're not just out there to entertain right now. This feeling is more that you are trying to spread a message, and that's why the words are important to you. But there's a reminder that if you really want to spread the message, you need to make the words important to the people who you are getting the message to. With that, I am going to clarify the Ace of Swords because, like I said, it is kind of the aha moment, the moment of clarity in itself, and I just want to see if there's any additional advice we can get. Oh, we have the Lovers. That's the beauty of using multiple decks when you're clarifying. So again, we have this idea of coming to an agreement. Essentially, the words matter. The words are very important on both sides, but so are the ideas behind them, and making sure that you can work with people instead of just speaking over them. Now, this deck does sort of reintroduce more of the romantic aspects, but I think of it less as romance and more of intimacy and trust. It's more about being comfortable enough with somebody who may or may not agree with you to be able to continue to work with these ideas than it is to compromise so that you can win or to be right and be right over them. I hope that makes sense. But two Lovers is definitely about paying very close attention to the agreements that you make. I have heard that you are not supposed to sign contracts in a Mercury retrograde. I think that we spend too much of the year in one for that to really be work, but there is that double reminder to be mindful of any contracts that you make. And to know that contracts aren't always just those pieces of paper where we sign our names. There are such things as verbal contracts. There are such things as energy contracts. There are agreements we make with our words and our actions, even if we are not consciously saying, if you do this, I will do this. So this whole spread is really asking you to pay as close attention to the things you do as the things you say. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions about this, if it all made sense, or if you need anything clarified or explained. Please let me know what you think of the questions and this whole format. And have a wonderful week. Have a wonderful retrograde. Just use this to move forward. Thank you.